All right, JJ, I'm here at your new prospective residence. Congratulations on being under contract. I'm not really here to introduce new news to you, but more so to give you a constant. Since you heard my voice and got my video snaps on the other homes, I figured I'd do a quick walkthrough of this one. I know you already got the videos from the site agent, but I'm gonna just go and make comparisons based off of the stuff that I already saw in person. Right away, you got the cobblestone brick pavered driveway. Obviously, that wasn't on any other homes that we looked at. You still do have the incline to the driveway, and you still do have a little bit of that grade, the natural slope from the house away, to keep the water from piling up and pooling up. It's not quite as dramatic as some of the others were, but then you also have this going for yourself. That's a drain that goes right into the retention pond that's in the backyard, and I'll get into that later. Pink sticks here are your property line. Nobody got screwed here. There's a fair amount of space on both sides here. Good landscaping package with the natural trees. Good landscaping package up in the front. It's tucked nice and neat. You can see the grass lines from the mulch. It's not bleeding. I wish this line was a little bit straighter, but overall the quality of the yard, at least, and the landscape is just as good as what we've seen in other communities. You do have the gutters. That was already called out, at least on the front. There's not a gutter on the opposite side there, but I'd argue that I don't really know if you need it, because the rain runoff is going to hit right into the mulch bed here. And if you decided that you needed it, luckily for you, you have that big break there, so you just really have just one piece here and one piece on the other side. I don't know if that piece in the back is worth agonizing about. Looks like they're about to clean up your mulch, because these bags were here, and if that's the case, then that makes them one of the better builders I've ever seen, because we didn't get a good product with that when we first got into our home. I called out the front tree. I do like this tree also. I think when that fills in, that's going to be a nice effect. Landscaping is clean yet simple. It's aired out and it's nice overall. I do like this effect here. This is the biggest porch of any home that we toured. It is a full porch. Ring doorbell, from what I'm being told, is installed with the home. That stays to be yours, as well as the keypad entry. Traditional door, it's blocked here, but nothing stopping you from changing it. All right, and then we'll get right inside. For it to be a long home, I do like the fact that you don't have such a long hallway run as you did in some of the other homes, where when you open the door, you're immediately met with 15-foot worth of hallway. So although I've given you a lot of comparisons when I say, hey, this is how much space that I have, so you're not bottlenecked in the doorway, I mean, I still have a fair amount of space, whether I go to the laundry room, garage area, or whether I go into the home. But it is nice that you only really have 3.5 foot worth of obstruction, and then you're right into the openness of the house. That's a decent effect. Getting into the garage is the same size as the other garages that I saw in the past, literally. This is the same size as what you would have gotten with Mattamy. You don't have the loop for the water softener that you would have had with the other home, but I'm gonna get back into that. I say water softener, reverse osmosis. I'm gonna get back into that in a minute. You do have recessed can lights, and that's a nice effect. Normally you get like one little LED strip, and it's kind of cheap. But I think they did you a solid here with that. I cut this light off. That door has got some nice weight to it. Laundry room, ventilated shelving, not much to talk about here. They are gonna put the washer and dryer in there. I did see that on the contract. I like the fact that the coat closet is right in the doorway. And since it's a bifold door, it doesn't take up walk space when you open it. If you come out, I'm gonna come inside from an icky downpour, you can tuck your coat, umbrella, and things right where they need to go without trailing it all through the house, and again, without bottlenecking. Compared to the last home, I guess we can zoink the overflow at the countertop, because it's not a 5-man anymore, it's a 3-man here. But then you'd have to follow it up immediately with, you got dedicated dining room space, and that's something that was missing in the first home with the very nice floor plan. It didn't have a very dedicated dining room effect. It was also slightly missing from the Madame home because pretty much they were using the bar as the dining room, so you could skip the little nook that they had. Now you have a legitimate dining space. And sometimes I'm not a fan of when the dining space flows right into the living room. In this particular case, they did give you a division, and that's right there. So whenever you get ready, you get a nice light fixture there and put that over your table, and then that will clearly define that this is the dining room. And then you have another one there for a ceiling fan or a chandelier of your choice, and then that will clearly define the living room. And then that's just a pet peeve of mine. It'll easily be rectified. You can tell from the table here, 6-man table, that there's a pretty substantial amount of room here in the dining room, and it's not neck and neck, it's not bottled up, it's not jumbled up. Same thing in the kitchen space. There's enough room for people to move around in here and not feel like they're standing on top of each other. You had a side-by-side pantry before, and I'm mostly referring to the Madame house that we decided not to go with. Now you got the L-shaped pantry. I'd argue that you have similar similar shelf space as you did before. I'd also argue that you probably have a little bit more floor space since you got the L. So that's a bonus there. Back to the loop situation. You already have a reverse osmosis system in this house, which simply means your purified drinking water is being extra purified. So you got the tap water that's being filtered by the refrigerator, or you can use your reverse osmosis system that's right here at the sink. This is a $3,500, $4,500 addition that people put into their homes, and it is a legitimate system. These are your reverse osmosis cans. I do not remember the intricate details of how you work this bad boy, but the good news is it's already here, and that is something that was not existing in either of the other homes. You also have a big, large single bowl sink instead of the double with the divider. I actually prefer it this way, easier to wash the big pots. Okay, sliding around the corner. I like the seclusion. It's nice and open here, walk through, and then it's nice and tucked away for privacy for your guests or your roommates, which maybe I highly encourage. I don't know. Linen closet is right and neutral, easy access for both rooms. This is a nice sized bedroom, and I'm not going to step on your carpets because it looks like they spent some time cleaning these things. You still have the overhead fixture for a ceiling fan. This time you don't have the can light, but whatever. I'd argue that you need ceiling fans anyway. I think that closet might be a little bit more sizable than others we've seen just based off of how deep this is. And then when I look around and see where the bifold doors is, that's probably going to be slightly bigger than what we saw before. Also a decent sized window. And I think that comes a little bit lower than the one that I've seen in the last two homes, which was Madame and Pote. This is the only home that had 2 sinks in the secondary bathroom. So again, good for guests, good for roommates, or whatever that situation might be. Lots of light pouring in there. That bathroom is nice and spacious. It's not quite as shallow as some of the others were, obviously because you have the second sink. This bedroom is a good size as well. I did zonk another floor plan before because I can see the pop out for the closet, but here they didn't lie to you and use the measurement from that wall to the door. When I went back and roughly measured this, they literally measured the room from here to that wall. So in this case, this pop out is not stealing anything away from what they told you the size of the bedroom is. And it is a decent size just looking at it. You still got the overhead. All right, getting right up the stairs. I have this problem in my home, and I think they did you a solid here. That's my foot. I'm pointing that out because you got more than enough room to get some furniture up here. My stairs actually goes up and then twists and goes up again. And I had a hard time getting the furniture that I wanted upstairs. You're not gonna have that problem. 1, because your walkway is a little bit wider. And then 2, because you have this handrail here where once you get to the top of the stairs, you can literally just leverage this open spot here and put big items over the top if you need to. This is also 6 foot bigger in this direction than the flex room in the last floor plan. That's space that is gonna be noticeably substantial, and I think it's 2 foot bigger going widthwise. You do have 4 cans here, one over there, one over there, one there, and you still have the ceiling fan, and I like the effect with the natural light coming in on the second floor. That is your air handler. And then I'm gonna go downstairs. Once again, reflecting how much room and division there is between kitchen and dining room. I'll stop and reflect how much room and division there is between dining room and living room. It's very spacious. Next thing I wanted to point out is the slider. This slider is about 4 foot wide each. So this is an 8 foot slider. It might even be 9. The other sliders I saw at all of the other homes that were on your options list were probably no more than 6 foot wide total. This is substantially wider. It lets in a lot more natural light. Do yourself a favor. Remember what I'm telling you when you start to customize your home. If you ever decide to put blinds or curtains up here, you need to tuck them as close as possible to the ceiling and as far as possible to the wall. Don't make the mistake of bringing them down. Don't make the mistake of putting them just around the glass here. I say that because, let me see if I can zoom out without getting blurry. All right, the fact that this is already so wide, when you do your window treatments, if you leverage this whole wall, by the time you bunch up your curtains over here and bunch up your curtains over here, you're just gonna be further highlighting that you got a lot of natural light coming in here. It's gonna make the room pop. It's gonna make it feel bigger. That's just my personal preference. You could tell me to screw off of my opinion, and it would have no bearing. Outside here, you do have an outlet here, so you didn't lose anything there. And look, this thing's already screened in. This is $2,500 that you save. That's money you don't have to spend. They even did you the courtesy of putting an exit pad here, which is really important because if it rains or whatever the case is, a lot of times the builders would just have the grass come all the way to the edge. And I think all of the homes we saw were like that. So then you would have had to spend the money to add you a pad so that you can step out without stepping right into the mud or the mush or whatever the case is. This is also one of the deepest lots that we have looked at. Now, over here, beyond this pink property line marker, there will be a home eventually, because over there, that is a paved street. And this is a legitimate lot number. You need to know that. Probably no big deal, because again, I showed you where you could have spent $362,000 at Mattamy to get this much space between where your house was and where the back property line marker was, and here you spent $335 and you got almost probably just about the same amount of space. That marker over there is also a significant mark away from the house. To give you an idea of where we were with the other Mattamy home, and I remember because I stepped, so I'm gonna walk to it. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, this is about where the marker was with the house that was $338 at Mattamy, that did not have the gutters, that did not have the bigger yard, and you see how much more room you got. This is the only lot that we've seen that you have some view of a pond. I mean, I don't know if you care about that. It serves a purpose, and that's what I was talking about up front. So the water from the street will hit that drain. That drain comes down into this doohickey right here via that pipe, and then it overflows out back. Basically, your house can never flood. Even if there's flooding somewhere else in the neighborhood, your house can't flood because you sit right here on the daggum drain, and right here on the retention pond, and this is nice and sloped. That is good news for you. I'll get over here to a zoink and then a call out. The zoink is the space between the properties. It's not substantial, but you already knew that. This is one of the tighter fits. The path that they cut here, I think they cut your yard getting ready for you to pop up on it whenever you wanted to and take a look or whatever the case is. So yeah, a little bit closer than some of the other homes that we've seen. I think you make up for it in the backyard space. What I do like though is your patio is not exposed to the guys that you are closer to. It's exposed to the guys that you are further away from. Next thing I'm gonna show you on my way back in that I do like, your patio is exposed to these folks. You do not need to spend $8,500 to get a privacy fence though. Reason being, this is perfectly framed, okay? That flat panel at the top, let me see here, and then I'll clear it so you can get right, is in the same position as this white flat panel. What am I getting at? You can put some weatherproof curtains here, and block those guys out, that's probably going to cost a couple $100 compared to a couple thousand for the privacy fence. And then I'll segue that to saying that nobody in this neighborhood has one of those white picket privacy fences. Everybody has the black aluminum fence, which means it probably isn't authorized for you to do one of the white picket privacy fences anyway. So I just gave you the solution. I gave you the solution to solving your privacy problem. And I will also call out that this is the biggest patio layout of any of the homes that we saw. The biggest. Back inside, if I didn't call out the 4 cans, you have the 4 cans. I like the recessed lights when they do the little floor design around the main. There's no shortage of storage space in this home. You get another storage / linen closet here, and then you walk right into your master room. I didn't call it out earlier, but these are 9-foot ceilings. The space is plenty airy, plenty tall. You got your overhead for your ceiling fan here. Let me see. Oh, yep, sure do. You got a switch that controls that outlet, so you're not in a hurry to solve that problem. And then we get into the bathroom. I love the bathroom. Why do I love the bathroom? This is the furthest spread, the broadest spread between vanities of any home that we saw. So when you finally find that significant other, if you decide to invite your booty call over for one night, she can put her toothbrush and her makeup and her stuff over here. It'll be all nice and messy. And then you can still look like the gentleman bachelor you are with your shit all together, because you got room. Some of the vanities were like sink ended here and the next sink started here, right? And so this is normal, right? This is more normal. It's also raised a little bit like big boy style, right? And these faucets, they're probably the fanciest that I've seen. Also, obviously, separate tub and shower. You know me, I'm 5'9", and I'm not gonna spend too much time in your spot. I'm just gonna say that I'm linked pretty far back. Like I'm literally on full recline now. Take a look at that stance. I'm stretched all the way out in this thing. It is nice and big. There's room for 2. Okay, stretched all the way out, legitimately. And if I wanted to put my knees up, then I could literally sit here and drown myself if that's how I wanted to go out. And I don't recommend that. But I am a fan of the separate tub. I am also a fan of the fact that you got all tile, not fiberglass, wrapping your tub and shower. I am also a fan of, I called this out in one of the other homes, you don't have that stupid fiberglass pan. You have the sunken, foundation-oriented drip pan. It's cut into the foundation that way. That's better. Why? Because when I step in here, I literally step down. So there's no way, unless I'm stupid, water should be pouring anywhere other than in the shower. And I got a nice watertight seal there with the door. This is the best bathroom combo I've seen, even compared to the Brightland home. Madamy had the toilet exposed, and I thought that was a pretty good trade-off for whatever else it offered. But here, you just got a more substantial bathroom, man. And the toilet is nice and hidden again. So your girl can do her do, or you can do your do, and the other one doesn't have to be offended. Madamy had a nice overlapping effect to the, you know what I'm saying, like that shelf was kind of stacked over this one. You don't have that anymore. What you do have is similar space overall. I'd argue that it's probably a little bit deeper lengthwise. And you do have some organization shelves already in place. But look at this thing, man. And when I saw it in his video, I don't think he emphasized the fact that, yep, there's a dip here, right? Because this is about shoulder height for me. But if you dip your head under here, no big deal. I'm standing up tall now. That thing goes all the way to 9 feet. And then you reclaim all of the storage space. So all of your boxes and trash and, prized possessions, belongings, guitars, maybe even a bike if you wanted to put one in here for whatever reason. It goes in here, and then your garage looks like you're a bachelor again, and you got everything all together, and I really, really like that. All right, somehow or another, I ended up talking for 20 minutes. I don't know how I did that, but I did. I'm going to go ahead and, oh, man, I didn't call this out. The fact that this wall is solid. I mean, I know a wood guy who could come in and do you a nice wood effect here. Try not to get too emotionally attached to homes and spend up a bunch of money, but personalization is nice. All right, you've heard me chat for 20 minutes now. I'm off my soapbox, but I did want to come back and at least give you the full shebang as you got to see for the other homes that we toured while we were on your shopping list. All right, later.